everybody. Boy, have we got a story for you now on CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. They recently settled a lawsuit rather than disclose its sources of funding. And the reason why that may be an issue is because CARE has also been accused of links to terror organization Hamas. Yeah, joining us now to discuss is just what is happening here, the president of the New Tolerance Campaign, Gregory Angelo. Gregory, great to see you, my friend.
Thanks for having me back, Amanda.
How did you catch wind of this?
Well, it was really an underreported story. Thankfully, the New York Post covered it. But the story's a little complex. Let me outline the contours for your viewers this evening. So the Council for American Islamic Relations, CARE, has notoriously had its founding linked to individuals who had strong ties with the Muslim Brotherhood. And those ties have dogged CARE for years. But flash ahead to 2021, where NPR, which is not exactly known as a far-right news outlet, published an explosive expose talking about how there is a culture of misogyny, sexual harassment, religious discrimination, and intra-religious discrimination, like Muslim-on-Muslim discrimination, within CARE's company culture. And that poison went from CARE's national chapters all across the country and straight to their national headquarters in Washington, D.C. There was an individual, a whistleblower, a female employee, former employee, who stepped forward basically corroborating those things, talking about the fact that CARE was indeed guilty of pushing this sexual harassment, misogyny, etc., in the ranks of its employees. She was sued by CARE for defamation, and thankfully she didn't back down. She held firm, and basically it got to a point where she said CARE is going to have to open the books in order to adequately defend themselves. Opening the books, by the way, which would reveal who CARE's sources of funding were. So rather than take that extra step, CARE decided to drop their lawsuit with prejudice, I might add, which means they can't bring it again later. Now, the great news is the woman who was sued by CARE still stood firm and pushed back again and filed her own defamation lawsuit against CARE, saying that not only was CARE pushing this culture of sexual harassment, misogyny, and religious discrimination, but they have been receiving funds from organizations and individuals abroad, funds that even CARE's own board of directors are not aware that the organization has been receiving. So CARE said that they were going to push ahead with defending that lawsuit. And a judge said, well, in order to do discovery on this, we are going to have to look into where CARE's sources of funding are. Rather than take that step, CARE decided to settle the case with this individual.
Do we know how much?
So it's a pattern here, and it's one that goes back even to 2004. CARE sued a website, anticare.com. It's still up online. And once again, the individual who was sued stood firm, and CARE, if they were going to proceed with that lawsuit, would have had to open the books on their funders. Once again, CARE decided that they would drop that lawsuit rather than open the books on who their funders are.
Ooh, what is the typical price tag of silence for CARE? What do they pay for these settlements?
That I'm not sure. They're always undisclosed amounts, right?
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing. I mean, CARE, if you look at their 990s, these are the forms that they file with the IRS every year. CARE has millions and millions of dollars. And to be clear, as an organization that has 501c3 nonprofit status in the United States, they're not obligated to reveal their sources of funding. But let's just say that it seems like where there's smoke, there's fire here.
Right.
And every time CARE is pushed by the law to reveal their sources of funding, they end up backing down. We have individuals throughout the halls of Congress that are alerted to the suspicions around CARE right now as well. Congressman Gottheimer, a Democrat from New Jersey, again, not exactly a far-right extremist, has called for a congressional investigation into CARE. You have Congressman Kustoff, a Republican from Tennessee, who has a piece of legislation that would remove tax-exempt status from any U.S.-based nonprofit that is found to have ties and is supporting terrorist organizations abroad. This is something that I think deserves a lot more attention in the media. And even just today, there was a story that came out in the New York Post that said Department of Justice funds that were given to CARE in order to help migrants in California have ended up going missing. They were distributed to CARE's Los Angeles affiliate, which is not a registered nonprofit. and no one knows where the money went after that. Did it go to CARE's national headquarters? Was it basically put into a slush fund? And these are taxpayer funds, and this is a Department of Justice grant. So, I think people with a nose for news like you and John and other people in journalism, I think can really look into this, because it seems it's something that really needs to be gotten to the bottom of.